Hi there, I'm Jennifer Vanderbeek from scrapsoflife.com, and in this video I'll show you how I put together this spring-loaded Shadowbox card using Clair stamps and Imagine supplies. Since the Be Kind stamp set comes with a free download of the SVG files to match, I loaded them into my Cricut design space and cut two sets of each shape out of the white, yellow, and black cardstocks. I know I'd have extras because I certainly didn't need all the pieces right now, but I can store the leftover cuts in the stamp sleeve and be ahead of the game next time. Once everything was cut out, I used my Versamark pad and embossing powders to add the stamped details onto the die cuts. I love the look of the gold powder on the black cardstock especially, but I played around with white, silver, and even clear just to kind of see what came out of it. I embossed all the bees, all the hives, the large honeycombs, some of the bee lines, and the Be Kind sentiment. I also found that when I was doing this much embossing all at once, that it was really useful to go ahead and dump the embossing powders into a large coffee filter with a spoon in each. That way I could use the Versamark pad to ink it up and then immediately sprinkle the embossing powder over it without having to, worry about pouring it back into the container and back and forth. It sped up the process quite a bit. The other stamp I received from Clair Stamps was this awesome wood pattern that I decided to use for my background. Before stamping it in the black memento ink, though, I created a semi-ombre, kind of drippy, kind of grungy look on the cardstock using walnut ink and some different fireworks sprays. Once I had them all kind of nice and drippy and blended, I used the heat gun to dry it all out, but I'd used an awful lot of ink on this one piece of cardstock, so I decided to let it dry overnight under a couple of acrylic blocks so that it would be nice and flat the next night when I got back to work on the card. With my stamped elements all put together, the only other thing I really needed was this frame I created from black cardstock and 2 layers of dimensional foam adhesive. The last step was to create the movement element. I didn't want to do another shaker card quite so soon from the last project I did. So what I decided to do instead was look up if I could make my own wobble elements. And I could. So I did. It was as simple as taking some wire and wrapping it a couple times around the handle of a paintbrush. And then, you get this long coil, but you trim it down to like, 2 or 3 pieces per, and then you just sandwich them between the die cuts. I used tape for each end just because it was nice and it could stretch across it and it was useful. And then I had my little springy bees. So everything was put on the card with some on-point glue. You see, kind of coming together. And overall, I was really happy with the card. Now, the last thing I did was to decorate the frame a bit. I used some Celestial Copper Delicata and the small honeycomb stamp and just stamped directly onto the frame, kind of around my other elements, and it was done. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this project. Big thanks to Clair Stamps for partnering with Imagine for this blog hop, and make sure you check out the blog post linked in the description below, if you're watching this on YouTube, for more details and the next destination on the hop. Once again, I'm Jennifer Vanderbeek from scrapsoflife.com, wishing you creative days.